Welcome to the 360 show, guys. Bit of a different version today. It'll be a short one as I am heading over to the UK for the WCL. You'll see there's a bit of a different format as I just wanted to be a bit authentic about what's been happening this week. Didn't get much sleep last night as I'm preparing my cricket bag for the first time in ages, and I'm very much looking forward to join forces with my South African teammates over there in the WCL. We also talk England, India, as it's 2-1 to England now. Incredible performance by both teams. Got to give credit to both teams for really putting Test cricket at the top as exactly where it's supposed to be and where it deserves to be. What a phenomenal Test series it's turning out to be. 2 more tests to go, and we'll see who comes out on top there. There's lots happening. When you watch the show, I will already be in the UK. It's a recorded show. Won't be long, but I hope you enjoy it. Let's go. All right, I have 4 main topics for you guys, so let's jump straight into it. As I'm taking a sip of coffee to stay up and going with a bit of caffeine. Guys, the 4 topics I will be running through, but before we get there, as per usual, like, subscribe to the show, and follow me in socials. You know the story. And I will be sharing a lot of content while I'm over there in the UK. So very exciting for me to pull out the English Willows again. I can't wait to eat some balls and also catch up with old former opponents and also teammates. Topic 1, guys, England, India. England beat India by 22 runs at Lord's to go 2-1 up in the series. It was an incredible roller coaster ride throughout the 5 days. Went all the way. And Test cricket is in a very good state right now. Who said it's boring, right? I was at the edge of my seat till that very, very last wicket, that unlucky wicket where Siraj played on. I cannot believe how that ball spun back, clipped that leg stump, and just the one bail tipped off. Huge anticlimax for India, but massive adrenaline rush for Team England and all England fans. It was something interesting to notice throughout the crowd. I felt it was very 50-50. Lots of Indian supporters there, lots of English supporters there as well. But you almost didn't know who was in control as the crowd really was so loud for both teams, showing support for both these teams. And what an incredible test match. Let's quickly run through it. Obviously, England deciding to bat first, getting 387. Joe Root, star performer there. But India coming back and deciding, you know what? 387 is not enough. We can match that. And they did exactly that. 387, where they missed an opportunity. I did cover that in the previous show. Sort of missing out on really taking full advantage of that first innings. They lost a lot of wickets, which has been a bit of a trend throughout the series. And if they're going to come back in Test match 4 and 5, they're going to have to sort that out at the back end. Once they get to 4 wickets down somewhere there, it generally happens really fast, and they lose a lot of momentum going to the bowling innings. Anyway, 387, playing 387. England came out to bat again. The wicket doing a bit more. Lots of bounce from that end that Bumrah bowled from. Really, really tough to bat. And India bowling exceptionally well, especially Washington Sundar, who on a Lord's wicket, which traditionally doesn't take a lot of turn. Washi came out and had a fantastic performance, picking up 4 big wickets for Team India, keeping them in the chase. And I thought it was a target that was very, very chaseable. But once again, that trend for Team India, losing wickets in clusters, not looking after the important partnerships, which obviously didn't happen as they would have wanted to. Didn't really get any noticeable partnerships up front. Until Jadoo came to the wicket, who just looked so calm and composed. And I've spoken about Ravindra Jadeja so often in the past. I've got so much respect for this guy as he adds value in all departments and all facets of the game, with bat in hand, with the ball, in the field, with his aura, very calm, collected, highly competitive individual. When I played against him, I always felt like he was in my face and he's wanting to get me out. So that's the kind of advantage he is for Team India and has been for so many years. And I told my boys watching on the couch, this game is not done and dusted until Jadoo is out. Even right till the end, it looked so unlikely for them to come even close. But with Jadoo there, playing the situation absolutely perfect. Really never panicking. I must tell you guys, if I was out there, I would have played a lot more attacking strokes and probably would have come up way more short than Jadu did. Just stayed so calm. He was happy to sort of play Ben Stokes' game plan, not really trying to change anything, taking the one when he needed to, not taking the ones early on in the over around ball number 4. He generally took the one, trusting Siraj at the other end to look after. And Boomerang as well. I think they also had a decent partnership where Jasprit faced about 50 balls and really kept them in the hunt. Only coming up around 22 runs short. Heartbreaking for Team India. I would have loved to see this come down to 10, 12 runs and how both teams would have started panicking. But unfortunately, we never got there. It was incredible to watch and very much enjoyable. Just about game plans in the UK, and as a captain, it was fascinating for me to watch Shubman Gill and also Ben Stokes go about different game plans, especially in the field, the way they rotated their bowlers. Stokes at that final innings, the way he always tried to really frustrate Jadu out, and Jadu not sort of letting in on that. He was incredible. Both of them sort of playing a cat and mouse game, not allowing Jadu any free or easy boundaries. And also similar for Jadu, he didn't allow Stokes to dominate terms too much as well. Where I think Team India went wrong, in my humble opinion, final innings, way too conservative with the bat in hand, the top 5. I felt Jadu played it to the tee because he needed to be conservative and play the situation. Where I felt the top 5 had a lot more freedom to be fluent out there and to take the attack to the English bowlers, put pressure on them, make them get the catches out. Team India never got to do that as they were very tentative, very conservative, obviously wanted to take it deep, but that sort of backfired. Very interesting to note as well, guys. I don't know if Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes have been watching the 360 show, but I haven't seen much of Bazball at Lords, which was interesting, right? They sort of changed the game plan, their blueprint in a way where they were starting to play the situations. And that's what I've always been calling out for. And I don't really mean that they're watching the 360 show. Obviously, they're not. Maybe some of them are, I don't know. But I've always called out for, especially in Test cricket, you have to play what's in front of you. And sometimes that's going to be exceptionally aggressive cricket. Sometimes you have to fight things out for 10 to 20, maybe even 30 overs, just to get back into the business end of the game and wait for that moment where you can identify a tiny little weakness in the bowling attack to do your Bazball again. You know, when the bowlers tire out, the 5th bowler comes on or the 4th bowler, someone you fancy a bit more, you identify that moment and you put pressure back on the opposition and then you run with it for as long as you can. But once that turns again, you have to pull back to 3rd, 2nd gear, to absorb the pressure, apply again. That is the name of Test cricket. You can't come out and just say, I'm going to play one kind of style of cricket. It might work for an extended period of time, but it's going to collapse at some stage and you'll have to start licking your wounds. But luckily for Team England, I thought they played the situation of the Test match at Lords exceptionally well, adapting to different situations of the game. And that's why they ended up coming out on top. It's all lined up for the next Test match as in Manchester, Old Trafford, July 23. I will be in England, so I will definitely be catching the atmosphere in the UK with these two teams going up against each other. And only 2 Test matches to go. Definitely advantage for Team England right now as they are controlling the series because of that result. And I mean, India will be very disappointed not leading this series right now. They've missed out on so many opportunities to dominate, especially with the bat in hand, with those last batters. If they can sort that out, I truly believe Team India's bowling attack is over England's batting attack, and they are doing their job. It's just the batters, because they're getting the starts, but they're just not pushing on. So that will be the theme for Team India going into Test match number 4, also 5, where it's a couple of must-wins for them. First things first, the most important thing, priority, is that Test match at Manchester. Make sure they get the momentum on their side again. And once they get an opportunity to shut the door, make sure you shut it and you lock it. All right? Because Team England's got a habit of sort of opening that door if you don't lock it properly. So Yeah, all the best to both teams. It's going to be great to watch. Next up, guys, West Indies versus Australia. It's all about Mitchell Starc. As I watched a bit of that last night, really running through team West Indies. I spoke to him briefly during the test match, as it is his 100th test match. And to Starkey, congratulations on an incredible career so far. And I had a bit of a tongue in the cheek moment as I wished him well for his next 100 test matches. And we had a bit of a laugh because we know that's highly, highly unlikely. I know he's a very fit and he's relatively young, still 35. But I can't see him doing another 100. You never know, though. But he bowled exceptionally well, and Australia really causing havoc there in the West Indies batting department, and I've covered that in depth as well. No one really, I won't say willing, because it's a very good bowling attack they're up against Team Australia. It's bowling attack with Hazelwood, Starc, Cummins. It's really tough to bat against, but still, if you want to win test matches, big test series against some of the best in the world, you need to have the runs on the board to give your bowlers the opportunity and the freedom to carry more catches, to be more attacking out there. I thought the bowlers have done exceptionally well for Team West Indies. It's just the batting department. You need one or two batters who's got a bit of character, who can stick it out against the firepower of the Aussie attack. But Mitch Starc, really running through that top order, getting his 5 wickets in his 100th test match. So fitting for him. Such a nice guy. I played with him at RCB, and I'm incredibly happy for him. This lowest total in 70 years as Oz clinches that series 3-0. Fantastic performance from them away from home. That'll count for the WTC points as well. So really good start for them in the WTC rankings, as they will be getting a lot of percentage points for that. Mitchell Starc, guys, I played a lot of test match cricket against him, also ODIs, T20s. Incredibly fast through the air. Personally, for me, I've always enjoyed that kind of bowling. He's almost skiddy, and he tries to beat you through the air with swing, and not so much with seam movement. I've always felt like I could pick up his bouncer relatively soon or early in the delivery stride, or at the point of delivery, rather. For me, it was always incredibly important to just make sure I pick up that delivery point, the point of release. The minute the ball's coming out of his hand, is it the perfect seam up delivery that might get a bit of swing back in? Is there a little bit of a scramble, which means it might go across? The more information I picked up early in his hand, the better it was for me. And the less he could beat me with that raw pace that he has. But I think his biggest threat was always that ball swinging back into the stumps. He gets an incredible amount of bold and LBW dismissals. And I was always aware of that. And once you're aware of the biggest threat on the day, that's when you can start making game plans and sort of creating this blueprint for the day of, well, how's he trying to get me out and how am I going to counter it? For me, it was always to stay leg side of the ball on leg stump. I would always almost encourage him to try and nick me off rather than get me out to LBW or bold. And a lot of the West Indies batters, unfortunately, never picked up on this. All of them, almost all of them, tended to fall over across to the offside, getting that front pad in the way, stepping on off stump instead of like a middle leg kind of line. You want to go back at the attack. And Starkey coming over the wicket as a left-hander, I always wanted to make sure my chin and my left shoulder is going towards that attack, towards him and not across. Because the minute you move 1 inch to the right, to the offside, your front foot tends to plant in the wrong line. And the minute that ball starts swinging, you find yourself in all kinds of trouble. So that was my time against Mitchell Starc. Obviously, a lot of respect for him. I enjoyed facing him, and I mean that with so much respect. Then I didn't enjoy facing someone like a Mitchell Johnson, for instance, and other batters would enjoy facing him rather again. So horses for courses. Every player is different. I've always preferred a guy trying to beat me with swing through the air instead of moving it around off the wicket, where I always felt like I had less time to adapt to what was happening. So Starkey, great guy, great player. I liked facing him, but that's the kind of game plans I would always have against him. How is he trying to get me out on the day? And remember, at the back end of his innings or back end of the innings, you would almost lose that shape and it would start to almost reverse and go the other way around. Then the game plan would completely flip to the opposite, where I would feel, okay, now my biggest threat is to nick off. So I can come a little bit more across to middle and off stump. and still go back at him. But now I must be a lot more disciplined outside of not thinking too much of about that ball swinging back, because that's less of a threat now. And that's how I always plan my innings against Starkey, and countering one of the best bowlers of all time. All right, next up, South Africa beating Zimbabwe in that first T20 match. I watched a bit of that as well. Very young team, and it's exciting for me to watch. Missing out on the likes of Aiden Markram, Heinrich Klaasen, Quinton de Kock, a few others that we've recently seen on the park with Team South Africa. Now there's this young, fearless team who I felt, it was a tricky total to chase, around the 140s over there in Zim. The wicket is too pace sometimes. But with these youngsters, very talented youngsters, Devil Brevis, Luandre Pretorius, the list goes on. There's so many to mention because it's almost a whole new look team. George Linder, the left-arm spinner, I've always been a big fan of his. But Brevis getting 41 of 17 and knocking that wind out of the sails of Team Zimbabwe. A few more T20s to go, guys, so we'll keep an eye out on that. Keep an eye out on South Africa's youngsters because there is a lot of exciting talent in the team, and I'm looking forward to watch them grow into experienced greats for South Africa one day. Next up, Wimbledon final. Wow, I was absolutely speechless as I called this Jannik Sinner. I felt it was his time, and he played the perfect match, losing that first set against Carlos Alcaraz. And it was a worrying time. I thought Sinner did nothing wrong in that first set. Alcaraz was really just too good in the big moments, where he played the big moments just better. Winning that first set, and I think a lot of memories of Roland Garros, where Alcaraz got the better of Sinner, must have come back to Sinner during that first set, thinking, here we go again, another major final, Wimbledon final, and is Alcaraz going to do this to me again? But somehow Sinner just stayed in that groove, and I think Alcaraz's level dropped just a couple of percent, and Sinner taking full advantage of that, going 6-4, 6-4, 6-4, 3-1, winning his first Wimbledon title, and stopping Alcaraz from going 3 in a row. So really important win for him, just to let the world know that he's still around and he's still number one in the world. All right, guys, I've rounded up things, but I've got a couple of questions I see here in the comms box, and I'm quickly going to just cover 3 odd questions, maybe 4. We'll see how we go with time. I've got about 5 minutes, so I thought I'll just pull up a couple of these. First up, Sumya, which American sport do you love? NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB? I think MLB, similar to cricket, baseball. I've watched the New York Yankees before at the Yankee Stadium. And a lot of people told me it's going to be boring. It's a very boring sport. Don't go and watch it. And I absolutely loved it. I loved the cat and mouse game you have between the pitcher and the hitter or striker, whatever they call them. Very similar to cricket, luring the batter into playing false strokes and then almost going for that risky pitch. Sometimes the batter or the striker gets a hold of him, sometimes not. Also very interesting how the innings goes, and also the ebb and flow. Very, very similar to Test cricket in a way, but it obviously is a lot shorter. But that will be the answer to that one, baseball, and I would love to go and watch a few more of those. Schlock, do retired players still feel butterflies in Legends Leagues? Absolutely. I am definitely feeling butterflies. I've hit a lot of cricket balls over the last while, and while I'm hitting, I actually got butterflies thinking like, in a very short period of time, not so long from now, I'm going to go out there and face some of my old foes, and I'm looking forward to the challenge, but definitely feeling a bit nervous as well, as we are all very competitive. I used to be a professional sportsman, and all those memories of the competition are coming back to me now, and obviously I would love to perform, even though it's quite low-key cricket. It's not this high professional test match stuff for your country, but still I'm feeling like that competitive edge coming through, and the need or the want to perform. All right, next up then, Logan Nathan. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Logan Nathan. Naresh, how about your cap logo, which is exactly AB or, yeah, you guys know I've been building this brand 360. I did this myself, guys. That's why it's not looking very professional. I just thought I wanted to get a feel for what I'm looking for. I will be releasing some caps in the near future, so keep an eye out for that. I'm not even going to tell you how I got a hold of this, but I ordered a few hundred caps and just put the logos on. It's not very high quality, but once I launch the proper range, it will be of the highest quality. Make no mistake about that. But it's not too bad for a self-designed, self-made cap. It's all about the 360 range and the 360 shows. Last but not least, I am packing my bags. This will only be going out once I am in the UK. It's the WCL. It is the outro for today's 360 show, guys. I told you I've been packing my cricket bag for the first time in 4 years. Last night it was quite exciting, I must say. Some butterflies going through the system. So I was strapping in my pads, getting the helmet ready, sort of adjusting it to my size. Looking after my bats, I've got some sandpaper here, so I just made sure the bottom edges are nice and smooth. I've got my grips on there, the bat covers. It's just those kind of things that I used to do throughout my career, and I think all batters do that. You almost look after your babies. You want them to be in perfect condition. I want to also encourage you to keep an eye out for the new bats that I will be using. They are ready. I think the colors are quite cool. It's bold. It's out there. It is the 360 range that will be launching soon, and I was waiting for this moment to sort of let you all know that I will be playing with new bats. As you remember, I used to play with Kookaburra back in the day, also MRF, and now my very own range that's been released. I will talk more into that once we are there in the UK. And once the range is launched, I would love for all of you to get your hands on a bat and some of the product. I think it's some of the best things, as a best product in the world. So, and that's the idea, to be unique, to make it one of a kind of range, the 360 range. So keep an eye out for that. Guys, that is it for today's 360 show. Short, sharp, and sweet. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will be catching up with all of you over there in the UK. I will be releasing a lot of content, so keep an eye out for that. Follow me in social media platforms. I will keep you up to date with everything I get up to, and hopefully I'll score some runs and entertain you. I don't know what to expect, to be honest. I'm going to stick to the basics as per usual, try and keep my head still, make sure I see that ball out of the bowler's hands, and give myself a little bit of time. I think, having not played for a while, I might feel a bit rushed at times at the crease. So I'll constantly remind myself, slow down, slow down. There's always time to catch up. In T20 cricket, there are more balls than you think. And sometimes us batters panic very soon and never give ourselves a fair chance to lay a bit of a platform and to enjoy our time out there. Very much looking forward to join forces with Hashim Amla, Hardis Fulyun, Chris Morris, Imran Tahir will be there, so many others that I used to play with. And on that note, I will be doing final packing and heading over to the airport. Thanks for joining me, guys. I will be seeing you on the weekend. Take care now and have a good day.